The Little Mermaid is the latest live-action Disney remake after films like Pinocchio or Peter Pan and Wendy, The Lion King, Aladdin, you name it. And this one, once again, follows the story of Ariel, played in this one by Halle Bailey, who wants to be a part of the human world as well. She's been trapped underwater, of course, because she's a mermaid, and her father, Triton, refuses to let that happen because he doesn't quite like the surface world. Eventually, she does get a chance to do so when her aunt Ursula, played in this one by Melissa McCarthy, has an idea and they strike a deal, but it comes with some terms and conditions that may or may not be great. Not talking about this movie on social media has been one of the great boons of my life because I genuinely have not enjoyed the conversation around this movie. It's been very bizarre. This film has had obviously some discourse because the original is a very beloved film for many, and it's a great film, but there's been some weird stuff with this one. Let's just put it that way. Nonetheless, I went to see it with an open mind because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. And like I've said before, historically, my track record with Disney's live-action remakes is not great. I controversially, apparently, really liked the Peter Pan one that they just did, but that's probably also because the bar has not been super high when it comes to these live-action remakes. However, I will say that I like this one significantly more than most of them. It's definitely a solid time overall. A lot of that has to do with Halle Bailey. She is phenomenal in this movie. She's doing an outstanding job when it comes to both the performance and the singing aspect. And there's a lot of that because this movie is also kind of a musical. And she's got a great voice. I mean, she's gonna go places. She's already very famous as a singer along with her sister. And so I'm not surprised that that's, factored into how good the soundtrack works with this movie. She's great in it. But I did like everybody in the film. I'm losing the name of the person who played Eric, but he was pretty solid as well. When you have the different sea creatures like Dabby Diggs as Sebastian, I thought he was really good. One of the funniest parts of the film, in fact. I like Jacob Tremblay as Flounder, even though Flounder is decidedly less yellow in this one compared to the animated version. But then again, I've come to just sort of detach myself from the the animated versions when it comes to these things. Because I don't think you're going to get every single thing from the animated to live action. That's impossible. They're gonna make changes because some stuff is just gonna look freaky as shit. So I try and look at it from what's this one doing that works, and I try to judge it on its own merit. I think there's a lot of such things in The Little Mermaid that you can look to and say, that works in this medium. It doesn't all work. There are issues, for sure. I'll get more into that in a bit. But most of the time, I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that the film is pretty entertaining. The music is honestly really great, even across the board. Other songs that are performed, really, really great. I mean, the one that's been publicized the most, I guess, is Part of Your World, which is great, but also Under the Sea was really good. That was actually one of the standout ones. The film is also visually far better than the trailers made it look, because the trailers, for me, looked A, unfinished, and B, very underlit. And maybe it's just my theater, but it looked super bright at times. Maybe even too bright. There were a couple of sequences where I thought, oh, this should actually be like, this is a darker sequence, so maybe it's going to be Nope, there's a flashlight on, I guess, but like, it looked pretty solid, honestly. Yeah, there's some rough moments. Like, there's one sequence towards the final act, which I didn't really like. Like, I think visually speaking, at least, like, you could tell, like, that's where things get a little murky. There's a few shots throughout as well when Ariel's underwater that don't fully work. Some do, and most of the time, however, it's very colorful and vibrant. And I saw it in 3D, which is usually where you sometimes lose color. But they did a pretty good job over here. Maybe that's just my theater, though. I don't obviously speak for everybody's viewing experiences, but that's what happened at mine. And I guess that's all I have to really say about that. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. People have asked about this, how she's going to be. I thought she was good. Yeah, she did great. I don't think she's going to be as iconic as the animated version. I know that's one of the best Disney villains for a lot of people, and I would agree with that sentiment. But I think she did a solid job. You know, she did hold her own. And I could say the same for Halle Bailey as well. I think she was great. I think Jodie Benson did a great job, and I think she does a great job as well. But that goes into that thing about, trying to compare the two a lot, when I'm trying to abstain from that as much as possible. For issues in this one, it's a little long. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I think it goes about 20 minutes longer than it should have. The original one is about 40 minutes less longer, and I don't know what in this really warranted the extra runtime. Like, you could have easily shaved off a little bit of this, and you could have had a much more leaner, much more tightly written film. As it stands, things do drag considerably. Some moments definitely could have used a little more of that, life. I think there were some things that definitely were dialed down in that aspect, which happens a lot when it comes to the live action remakes. There are some things that you'll see and go, man, that could have been a little more, energetic, maybe. Some things about that don't really work. There's a couple of song numbers that they've added in this one, which I don't know if they fully worked for me. If they worked for you, great. I can't say they did for me. Yeah, there are some things that I think could have been, maybe worked out a little bit better in that sense. But overall, it's a fine enough time. It's a decent movie, I would say so. I don't know what the masses are going to say about this film. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. But yeah, I would say this is definitely one of the better ones. Like, I don't know how much of a high bar that is for some people, but I gotta tell you that, if you had to rank, this would be substantially up there among the remakes. I'm gonna give The Little Mermaid a 7.5 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of The Little Mermaid if you guys are checking out this weekend. And let me know in your, thoughts in the comments below. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the movies.